Gus is the newest super rare brawler in the game, very easy to unlock, and he is the first of a brand new trio. We honestly don't know very much about Gus, but I can almost guarantee that we'll see another spooky brawler as chromatic brawler in season 15 probably. All that we do know is that he's been hanging out on an abandoned train ride and that he loves making balloon animals to help keep him company. In fact, his best friend is a balloon dog that he made named Spooky. The fact that his bio mentions a train ride instead of just a train has Star Park written all over it. I also have to wonder why he's associated with these ghosts since his bio says nothing about it. Maybe Gus is a ghost?
Is that Spike? Spooky is gonna get you. Get him, Spooky! Ha! You got spooked.
Stick around to the end of the video for all of his voice lines and pins. Gus's main attack is Loony Balloons. He shoots a single balloon that deals damage to the first target it hits and charges some of his spirit bar. Once his spirit bar is full, it will remain fully charged until he hits an enemy with an attack, which means that he can miss an infinite number of times and it will still stay charged. You can tell if Gus's next attack will spawn a ghost because the balloon will be yellow instead of blue or red. This ability basically acts like a second super because wherever he lands a charged shot, a ghost will spawn on the battlefield, and that ghost will remain on the battlefield until either Gus or one of his teammates picks it up. Whoever picks it up will instantly recover 1000 HP, so it can only be picked up if your health isn't already full. Now there can only be 10 ghosts on the map at once. If you try to spawn more than 10, the first ghost will disappear and the new one will remain on the map, so it stays at 10. Just keep in mind that the enemies can see where these ghosts are, so be careful about where you place them. Also, you can't throw his attack at a teammate to spawn a balloon. It has to hit an enemy. Gus's actual super is named Spooky Boy. His balloon dog, also named Spooky, provides a shield either for Gus or for a teammate that Gus hits with him. The shield immediately starts decaying 10% every second, so you have to put it to use right after it's activated. Now if the super is auto-aimed, then Gus will gain the shield, and if you want a teammate to have the shield, you just have to manually aim it at them and hit them with Spooky. Keep in mind that if you miss a teammate, his super will be wasted. Gus's first gadget is Kooky Popper. This gadget can only be activated if Gus has at least one ghost on the battlefield. When it is activated, all of Gus's balloons will explode at the same time and deal 1800 damage to every enemy that is near one. If an enemy is near more than one balloon, they will take damage from each of them, so it can stack pretty quickly. The explosion will also knock them back, and it is possible to activate this gadget immediately after his attack hits an enemy for a quick burst damage. Gus's second gadget is Soul Switcher. This gadget instantly charges Gus's spirit bar all the way full, but Gus actually loses 40% of his health. So the less health that Gus has, the less health his gadget will actually take from him. I should also point out that if Gus is ever defeated, he will lose any of his spirit bar, and this is true whether his spirit bar is filled normally or with his gadget. Gus's first star power is Health Bonanza. Each ghost collected by Gus or his teammates will normally heal them for only 1000 HP. I say normally like it's not much, but that's actually a lot. And this star power doubles the health from his ghosts so that they heal 2000 health at max level. We don't actually know how the healing scales with different levels, so this amount could actually be different at different levels. Now Gus's second star power is Spirit Animal. This star power gives a 25% damage boost to whoever Spooky gives a shield to, but only for a few seconds. For comparison, a 25% damage boost is actually the same damage boost that Colonel Ruffs gives, which is actually pretty awesome. Now that we know how he works, let's compare him to every brawler in the Brawl Stars Olympics events. Now for the box test, Gus has no way of hitting more than one box at a time, and his super is useless in this test. His reload speed is pretty below average as well, so he has to break open each box individually one at a time. He barely breaks the last box right before the smoke reaches him, so I guess we can be proud of him for that, but he takes 1 minute 51 seconds, which puts him in 60th place, also known as dead last. Now Gus has no way to do splash damage against the boxes in the splash test. He at least gets to use his super at the start of this one to try and help him find the first power cube a little bit quicker, thanks to his Spirit Animal star power, and Gus takes 1 minute 9 seconds to break all the boxes, and he gets dead last for this one as well. He's not very good at ramping up damage in Showdown. Now for the swarm test, technically with the right setup, Gus can defeat the entire swarm instantly with a click of his gadget, but that requires too much setup and is not allowed for this test. Gus uses his super for a short damage boost thanks to his star power, which helps him take out a bot with only one hit, but other than that, he requires 2 ammo to take out each bot. At least that's the case until he's positioned station enough ghosts around the map so that he can use his gadget to blow the rest of them up. Gus defeats the swarm in 31.3 seconds, which puts him in 59th place, and Bell is the only other brawler that is slower than him. Now next is the supercharge test, and as I mentioned before, Gus has a slow reload speed and he has to reload 2 extra shots in order to charge his super since it requires 5 hits to charge. Gus charges his super in 5.8 seconds and gets 58th place. Now for the boss test, Gus takes a decent amount of time charging his first super, but he spawns a little ghost faster than charging his super since it only takes 4 hits for him to spawn them instead of 5. Now he waits until his ammo is all the way full before using his super so that he can fully utilize his star power, which gives him that damage boost after he uses his super, and this allows him to get 4 shots off with extra damage each super. Once he's spawned 10 ghosts, he blows all of them up with his gadget, which deals insane damage and is very satisfying to watch, and he only needs to spawn 2 more ghosts for a second gadget, then finishes off the boss with 1 more attack. Gus defeats the boss in 1 minute, 6 seconds, and that puts him in 53rd place, and that suggests he's not very good at dealing damage over a long period of time. Next is the super damage test, and his super doesn't deal damage, so he ties with 10 other brawlers for 51st place. For the assassin test, I let Gus start out with his spirit bar full since I'm not letting him place any ghosts beforehand. He activates his super to get a short damage boost and unloads all 3 of his ammo, and he also has just enough time to blow up his 1 ghost with his gadget for some extra damage. Gus deals 6,975 damage in 3 seconds and gets 50th place out of the 60 brawlers in the game. Now for the area test, Gus's main attack fires straight up for some reason, but the attack covers 18 tiles. Although his super doesn't actually deal any damage, it still actually breaks through skulls and covers the same amount of area as his regular attack. In total, Gus covers the 36 tiles, which puts him in 43rd place. Next is the 3 attack kill test, and with the help of his spirit animal star power, Gus is able to deal 5,175 damage with 3 ammo. That's enough damage to take out 32 of the 60 brawlers, including Griff, Colette, and Janet, so a little bit more than half the brawlers. That's enough for 43rd place in this test. Next is the reload test, and Gus fires his attack at a decent speed, but aside from his slow reload speed, his attack has a lot of cool time in between shots, so his first 3 shots actually take a while to shoot. He's able to reload his 10 shots in 21.6 seconds, and that puts him at 40th place. Next is the 1 second DPS test, and as we've seen in the past, Gus technically could score higher than every other brawler in the game if he's able to put down 10 ghosts first. Even though this is entertaining to watch, it doesn't count because it just requires too much setup. It's not realistic. I still wanted him to be able to use his gadget though, so I let him start out with 1 ghost already on the map. After using his super and firing a couple attacks and activating his gadget, Gus deals 5,250 damage in 1 second and gets 37th place. Next is the race test, and Gus has no abilities to boost him forward or increase his speed at all. Since he only has a normal movement speed, he ties with 24 other brawlers for 36th place. Next is the super range test, and as we saw in the area test, Gus's super range is basically the same as his attack range at 9 1/3 tiles. He ties with Colonel Ruffs, Griff, Edgar, and Eve for 33rd place. Now that we've covered most of the tests, there are 3 more events where Gus is actually better than average in. And one of those is the auto aim test. Now Gus's projectile speed is actually pretty fast, and he's able to hit Nita from 4 tiles away. His damage boost makes a big difference for him in this test as well, and from 4 tiles away, he deals 1,725 damage, and that places him in 29th place. Now even though Gus's attack range is the same as his super range, he ranks a lot higher in the attack range test. Gus's attack range reaches 9 1/3 tiles, and he ties with Bonnie, Lou, and Fang for 22nd place. In fact, Gus's range might actually be the only good thing that he's got going for himself. Well, that and his healing. In the survival test, he's actually pretty good. His health is right around average for being a support brawler, but he has more than one ability to help keep him alive. This is the first and only test that Gus's health Bonanza star power actually helps him. This is also the only test that his shield from Spooky helps him as well. After his shield is broken, he collects his 1 balloon to heal 2,000 health, which buys him a few extra seconds, and he survives for 23.7 seconds, which puts him in 19th place, and suggests he's at least above average at surviving. So Gus didn't do too well in the Brawl Stars Olympics, but how strong do I think he'll actually be? Well, in Gem Grab, he doesn't really have any abilities to make him really good at evading or anything like that, so he could be okay as a gem carrier, but mostly because he's going to be in the center so that he can actually help his teammates on both sides. That's right, on both of his sides. In that regard, he's kind of like Byron. I don't think he's the best brawler for Gem Grab, but he's not the worst. I think he might be kind of competitive, maybe, so I'm putting him in the B tier. I'm also putting him in the B tier for Brawl Ball, not because he's good good himself, but I think that he's going to be very good at supporting his teammates in trying to score some goals. I could even see his shield being very useful to cast on a teammate that's trying to walk into the goal. In fact, it might not even stack with other shields like Rosa or something like that. One thing that Gus might struggle with though is not being able to stop the brawlers from walking into his own goal after respawning, which is actually pretty important in this game mode. His reload speed is slow enough that he probably won't want to touch the ball very often because he wastes ammo trying to kick it away. And so I think B tier is the highest I can give him for Brawl Ball. And the highest he can get in Heist is F tier. Not very good. He has some of the worst DPS in the game. He has almost no splash damage, and he can't even charge his spirit bar by hitting the safe, which I feel like would actually be pretty cool if he could. I have to put him in the F tier for Heist. He just doesn't have anything going for him here. And for Bounty, well, he's just not going to be, he doesn't have the damage. He doesn't have the burst potential to really take people out. I also think his ghosts are going to be very difficult to reach because he has to hit an enemy. And on Bounty, players are they try to stay very far away from each other. There's very little pushing forward or falling back or anything like that, unless you really need to. I think the best I can give him in Bounty is C tier. For Hot Zone though, Gus's ghost will probably be the most effective in this game mode because whether he's got teammates in the middle or enemies in the zone, like there's always going to be somebody there. There's going to be like he'll be useful. He and his teammates will be able to pick up a lot of ghosts while scoring points, and his super will help him stay in the zone even longer, or his teammates stay in there longer. And Hot Zone is probably his best game mode. Even then though, I think the best I can give him is A tier. Next is Knockout, and I think Gus can do a decent job at keeping friendly brawlers from dying, which is kind of the whole purpose in Knockout, but also he has really low damage burst potential, so he's gonna really struggle to take anybody out. The fact that his ghosts don't stay on the map between rounds is another reason why I don't think he's gonna be very good in this, and C's just the highest I can give him. For Solo Showdown, oh man, it's hard to give any brawler F tier in Solo Showdown because you can play Solo Showdown with the cheesiest strats just sitting in a bush, but if you're gonna give somebody an F tier, I think that he deserves F tier in Solo Showdown. He can barely even use his abilities on himself to try and keep himself alive, and like he's just not gonna be able to deal very much damage. He takes forever to ramp up. He does so little damage against the boxes, and his reload speed so slow. So I feel like F tier for Solo Showdown. I do think, however, he will be a little bit better in Duo Showdown, where he can actually help keep a teammate alive, and it'll be easier for him to shield his teammate, and probably a little bit easier for him to hit his shots against enemies as well. It's honestly kind of a good thing that he only has one teammate in this mode, because those supportive abilities can affect only one teammate at a time anyway. I'm gonna put him in B tier for Duo Showdown, but I do think I'm being a little bit generous there. After looking at Gus's stats and playing a few matches against bots, Gus, he doesn't feel very good to me. Yeah, that could just be because I haven't really figured out how to play him correctly, or the fact that I've only played with and against bots. I am going to be giving Supercell some suggestions on how I think that he could be made stronger by the time he's actually released, so hopefully he's not just like super weak and useless. But if you have any ideas on how you would like Gus to be made stronger, just let me know in the comment section below. Next are Gus's voice lines and pins, but before that, I'd appreciate you guys subscribing for future videos. I think that Brawl Stars has a really bright future ahead of it, and I've got some really good, like awesome video ideas that I've been saving for a time like this, so I think you guys are gonna enjoy them. Thanks for watching.
Sometimes you gotta fight. Is that Spike? Time to take Spooky for a walk. Gotta stay calm. Come on, Spooky. Get him, Spooky! Spooky! Fetch! Who is frightened now? Go, fetch! Spooky is gonna get you. Am I a ghost? Why me? I will haunt you. You didn't have to do that. I missed the ghost train. This place is scary. Don't be mean. What was that? Hey, I'm just a kid. Wait till I get spooky. You scared me. Good for me, bad for you. You should be more careful. Costly mistake. You got bested by a child. My balloon. Ha! You got spooked. Maybe I'll get to meet Spike. I really hope Spike is watching this. Wow, I'm in the lead. Stop looking at me. We made it, Spooky. We made it, Spooky. This could get dangerous. Here we go again. Words aren't always enough.